The storm hit Denver like a freight train wrapped in ice. James Sullivan stood at the window of Titan Industries' 42nd floor, watching snow slash sideways across the glass. The city below had already vanished beneath white fury. It was nearly 10 o'clock on a Friday night, and he should have been home an hour ago, reading Charlotte's Web to Lily before bed. Instead, he was here, triple-checking quarterly projections, because his team lead had called in sick and someone needed to make sure Monday's presentation was bulletproof. He'd sent Lily to his sister's place that morning, knowing the storm was coming. Smart move. Still didn't stop the guilt. James turned from the window, stretching his shoulders. The floor was a ghost town, desks dark, monitors sleeping, that eerie corporate silence that made every footstep echo. He grabbed his coat from his cubicle and was heading toward the elevator when he heard it. A sound, small, broken. Someone crying. He stopped, every instinct screaming at him to mind his own business. This was Titan Industries, a place where emotions were weakness and weakness got you replaced. But the sound came again, muffled and raw, and James found himself moving toward the corner office before he'd consciously decided to. The door was cracked open. Warm light spilled across expensive carpet. And there, behind a desk of polished walnut that probably cost more than his car, sat Victoria Hayes. The Victoria Hayes, founder and CEO of Titan Industries, Forbes 30 Under 30 alumna, the woman whose face graced business magazines with headlines like "The Ice Queen Who Built an Empire" and "Silicon Valley's Most Disciplined Leader." She was crying. Not delicate tears, real ones. Her mascara had smudged beneath red-rimmed eyes, and her hands, always so controlled during board meetings, shook as they covered her face. Her dark hair, usually pulled into a severe bun, had come partially loose. James froze in the doorway. She looked up. Their eyes met. For 3 seconds, neither of them moved. The storm howled against the windows. Somewhere in the building, heating ducts groaned. "I'm sorry," James said quietly. I thought someone might need." "Close the door." Her voice was hoarse but steady. Command even now, even broken. James hesitated, then stepped inside and pushed the door shut behind him. The click felt final somehow. Victoria wiped her face with the back of her hand, a gesture so unlike her usual precision, it made her seem suddenly human, mortal. She straightened in her chair, shoulders squaring even as her breath hitched. "You're Sullivan," she said. "Analytics."
You have a daughter.
"Yes, ma'am." "Don't call me ma'am. I'm 39, not 60. She reached for a tissue, then seemed to give up. "What are you doing here this late?" "Covering for Anderson." "The presentation?" "Right." She nodded, then laughed, a bitter, airless sound. "Of course. Everyone's always working, always performing." James said nothing. He'd learned that silence was often the smartest choice in corporate America. Victoria stood abruptly, moving to the window. She was still in her work clothes, a charcoal suit that probably cost 3 months of his salary, but she'd kicked off her heels. Something about her bare feet on the office carpet felt intimate, wrong, like seeing someone without their armor. "I need to ask you something," she said to the storm. "And I need you to not ask questions." "Okay. I need you to come with me tonight, right now." She turned to face him. "To a wedding." James blinked. "A wedding? My cousin's wedding? At the Bellevue Grand?" She crossed her arms, defensive. "My ex-fiancé will be there. My mother will be there. Everyone will be there. And they'll all be watching me, waiting for me to crack, or show weakness, or prove that I'm as cold and broken as they think I am. I don't understand what you need me. I need you to pretend to be my boyfriend." The words hung between them like smoke. James stared at her. At this woman who'd built a tech empire from nothing, who'd been profiled in Time and Wired, who commanded boardrooms full of men twice her age. She looked terrified. "Why me?" he asked. "Because you're here. Because you're," she gestured vaguely at him, "normal, real. Because you don't work in my circle. And you don't care about my money. And you don't look at me like I'm either a goddess or a monster." "Ms. Hayes." "Victoria." "Victoria," he corrected gently. "I have a daughter. I don't do things like this. Lying to people, playing games." "I know," her voice cracked. "I know you don't, that's why I'm asking you." She closed her eyes. "My ex, his name is Derek Chamberlain. He's a venture capitalist. He'll be there with his new fiancé, and my mother will spend all night reminding me that I'm alone because I chose work over family, because I'm too ambitious, too cold, too much. And I can't. She stopped, breathed. I can't walk in there alone again. The storm shook the building. James thought about Lily, safe at his sister's apartment in Aurora. Thought about his wife Sarah, gone 4 years now, buried in Spring Grove Cemetery under a maple tree. Thought about how grief had taught him that sometimes people just need someone to stand beside them, even if it's a stranger. Okay, he said. Victoria's eyes snapped open. Okay, I'll come with you. But we do this my way. No excessive lies, no cruelty, no using people. We show up, we're polite, and we leave. Deal? Something shifted in her expression. Relief, gratitude, maybe hope. Deal. The drive to the Bellevue Grand took 40 minutes through whiteout conditions. Victoria drove a black Tesla that handled the ice like it was nothing, while James sat in the passenger seat trying not to think about how surreal this was. Tell me about your daughter, Victoria said suddenly.
Lily, she's 8.
Obsessed with dinosaurs and hates broccoli. Smart kid. Broccoli is terrible. It's good for you. So is chemotherapy. Doesn't mean it tastes pleasant. She glanced at him. Your wife, I'm sorry. I remember seeing it in your file when HR processed your transfer. 4 years ago, James said quietly. Car accident. Black ice, actually. Night like this. Victoria's hands tightened on the wheel. God, I'm sorry. It's okay. Lily and I, we manage. We have good days and hard days, but we're okay. They drove in silence for a while. Derek and I were engaged for 2 years, Victoria said finally. He proposed at a gala in front of 300 people. Very public. Very perfect. I said yes because it was what you do when you're building an empire. You find a partner who fits the image. What happened? I caught him in bed with his assistant. 3 weeks before the wedding. Her voice was flat, clinical. He said I'd driven him to it. That I was never home, never present, never enough. She laughed without humor. Maybe he was right. He wasn't. You don't know that. I know that cheating is a choice, James said. Not a consequence. Victoria looked at him, something vulnerable flickering across her face. Then the hotel appeared through the snow, a towering Art Deco masterpiece, lit up like a crystal palace. Showtime, she murmured. The Bellevue Grand's ballroom was obscene. Ice sculptures, orchids in gold vases, a string quartet playing Vivaldi, 200 guests in designer clothes that cost more than James's annual salary. He felt like an imposter in his only suit, charcoal gray, off the rack from Men's Warehouse, pressed but showing its age. Victoria's hand found his arm. Her fingers were cold. Stay close, she whispered. They moved through the crowd and James watched people's eyes track. Victoria like prey animals watching a predator. Whispers followed them. She smiled. That perfect CEO smile, and he realized this was her other office. This glittering, brutal world of old money and older grudges. Victoria, darling. The woman who appeared was in her 60s, severe and elegant in burgundy silk. Her eyes were Victoria's eyes, but colder somehow. Harder. Mother, Victoria said. This is James Sullivan. James, my mother, Patricia Hayes. Patricia's gaze raked over him, assessing, dismissing. Sullivan, how unexpected. She smiled without warmth. And what is it you do, James? I work at Titan Industries. Analytics division. He's one of my senior analysts, Victoria added, her voice sharp. One of the best. How convenient. Patricia sipped her champagne. Derek is here, by the way. With Melissa. Such a lovely girl, very warm. Victoria's hand tightened on James's arm. I'm sure she is, Victoria said evenly. You know, darling, it's never too late to reconsider your priorities. There's more to life than quarterly earnings. Patricia's eyes flickered to James, though I suppose some diversions are temporary. James felt Victoria stiffen beside him. Before he could think better of it, he turned and faced Patricia directly. With respect, Mrs. Hayes, your daughter built a billion-dollar company from nothing. Before she turned 35, she employs 4,000 people and has revolutionized cloud infrastructure across 3 industries. I think her priorities are pretty damn clear. Silence. Patricia's eyebrows rose. Victoria's mouth opened slightly. Well, Patricia said icily. How passionate. She walked away. Victoria stared at him. You didn't have to. Yes, I did. Something in her expression cracked. Not broke, softened. Like ice beginning to thaw. Victoria! A man bounded over, tall, golden-haired, expensive suit. Derek Chamberlain in the flesh. Behind him trailed a blonde woman in a pink dress, smiling uncertainly. Derek, Victoria said coolly. You look amazing, seriously. Derek's eyes slid to James. And who's this? James Sullivan, Victoria's boyfriend. The word felt strange in his mouth, real somehow, despite being a lie. Derek's smile dimmed. Boyfriend, right, that's great. Really great. He gestured to the blonde. This is Melissa. My fiancé. Congratulations, Victoria said. Thanks, yeah, we're really happy. Derek stepped closer, lowering his voice. Hey, can we talk? Just for a minute? Victoria glanced at James. He nodded slightly. I'll get us drinks, he said. He moved away, but stayed close enough to watch. Close enough to see Derek lean in, gesturing earnestly while Victoria stood rigid. Close enough to see the moment Victoria's composure wavered. James was back at her side in seconds. Everything okay? Fine, Victoria said tightly. I was just saying, Derek continued, that there's no hard feelings. Water under the bridge. Actually, I'm glad we called things off. You and me, we weren't right, you know? You're too focused on work, too driven. You need someone who can handle that. Like you could? The words came out before James could stop them. Derek frowned. Excuse me? You heard me. You couldn't handle her success, so you cheated and blamed her for it. That's not strength. That's cowardice. Derek's face flushed. You don't know what you're talking about. I know that strong men don't tear down strong women. They stand beside them. Victoria's hand found his, squeezed. Derek opened his mouth, closed it, then laughed, sharp and bitter. You're perfect for each other. Enjoy your delusion. He stalked away, Melissa hurrying after him. Victoria turned to James, her eyes bright. Let's get out of here. They found a terrace on the hotel's 20th floor. Glass-walled and heated, but open to the storm. Snow whirled around them like ghosts. Victoria leaned against the railing, staring out at the buried city. Thank you, she said quietly, for what you said. All of it. I meant it. I know. She turned to face him. That's what scares me. Why? Because I've spent 15 years building walls. Keeping people out. Staying controlled. Her voice wavered. My father died when I was 23. Heart attack at his desk. He worked himself to death building his company. And everyone said I was just like him. Cold, obsessed, inhuman. So I became that. I became the Ice Queen because it was safer than being soft. James stepped closer. You're not cold. You're scared. Same thing. No, it's not. Victoria looked at him and her walls finally crumbled. Tears spilled down her cheeks. I don't know how to do this, she whispered. How to be vulnerable. How to let someone see me without armor. James thought about Sarah. About loving someone so much it broke you when they left. About Lily, who'd taught him that grief and love were the same currency. You just do it, he said. You take the risk. You show up. You let it hurt. What if I'm not enough? What if you are? The storm howled. Inside the ballroom, music played. And on that terrace, something shifted between them. Something real and terrifying and impossibly tender. Victoria reached up, her hand trembling, and touched his cheek. I haven't felt like this in years, she said. Like I'm actually here. Actually alive. James covered her hand with his. I know, me too. They stood there, two broken people in the middle of a blizzard. And for the first time in years, neither of them felt alone. They went back inside to find Derek at the microphone, giving a speech about the happy couple. When he finished, he looked directly at Victoria. And I want to say, some people are meant for love, and some people are meant for empire. Know which one you are. The room went silent. Victoria stood. James stood with her. She walked to the front of the ballroom, every eye on her. When she spoke, her voice carried across the entire space. Derek's right about one thing. I am meant for empire. I built something real and lasting and important, but that doesn't mean I'm not meant for love. She turned, finding James in the crowd. It just means I needed to find someone strong enough to love the empire and the woman both. She walked back to James and took his hand. Let's go home. They drove through the storm in comfortable silence. James had texted his sister, "Staying late at a work thing, see you in the morning." Victoria had kicked off her heels and curled, her legs beneath her in the passenger seat. "What happens now?" she asked. "I don't know," James said honestly. "This started as pretend." "It did." "Is it still?" Victoria looked at him, and her smile was small and real and unguarded. "No, it's not." They drove into the white fury of winter, hands linked across the center console. Two people who'd found each other in the darkness of a storm. It wasn't a fairy tale. It wasn't perfect. But it was real. And sometimes real was enough.